Hello, it's me again, Stephen Englander. Welcome to my Between the Spreadsheets live broadcast. I've got loads to talk to you about tonight, but first I've got to remind you that we're also on Spotify and iTunes, and anywhere you want to listen to me or watch, you can go and have a look. If you can't find me, you're going to have to let me know, because it's probably some fuck up from Graham, because it seems to be the tone today. Everything we've asked him to do today just can't seem to get things right. Can't even put special effects in it. I spend all this money on special effects boxes and he just can't seem to do anything. Anyway, that's that going. So Graham's given me a load of things to talk about tonight. So we're going to talk about GameStop. Do you remember great GameStop? GB News, lots going on there. Amazon. Lloyd's closing down lots of branches, and John McAfee's been found dead, and he had a lot to say about tax. We've got our quote of the day, which I've got lots to say about that, and we're going to talk about how superheroes make a living. Sorry, I'm just reading through the highlights in case people get bored, because you know what happened to me last week? What? I had a viewer contact me and said he really enjoyed the show, but he found the first 5 minutes boring.
Yes.
So I said, why? So he says, because you weren't insulting Graham.
No.
No, he did. I promise you, that's what he said. He didn't enjoy the show until I was being rude to you.
Well, that's because you perk up. The problem is, if you start the show just on a doof like that, then it is. Sometimes what you do, you go straight into pitching your services.
Only because you tell me to.
No, I'd say just quick shout out.
We're accountants. We've got to make it pay.
Yeah, we've got to keep the lights on. We've got to keep trigger warning going. This is it. If you need any help, get in touch. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we need to say.
We've got to keep you off the streets again, because you get very cold there, don't you?
I do.
So should I not finish reading out what we're going to cover? Should I go straight into it?
I think that was really good. I just wanted to say before we carry on, Gorgeous George has been in touch. And if you remember, he was doing some education around accounting. He's just said that he's just eked out a B for non-financial majors, worked his arse off to make that happen. So there you go. You're inspiring him to do accounts.
I like to inspire.
What are you doing?
No, I like to inspire young people and then apologise to the parents, but, whatever works. So we were going to talk about GameStop, weren't we? Do you remember a few months ago? No, it's a few weeks ago, isn't it? Where where all these sort of powerful brokers were trying to put them out of business, and all these normal everyday people sort of started buying shares and up the value of the shares. And now the naughty boys have gone bankrupt, haven't they?
Yes, White Square. Is it White Square Capital? They've closed down.
The hedge fund's gone down, hasn't it?
Yes, and people held.
It's interesting that, because it seems to me that social media has a lot of influence, and the people influencing these influencers can do all sorts. I mean, didn't they set up a coup in Egypt a few years ago? That's how powerful the internet is. So all these people have gone online and they've said to their friends and family and beyond, go and buy these shares, and they've prevented a whole big fraud going on. And now the company that was perpetuating it has gone bump. And everyone's had their money back, haven't they?
Well, yeah, and this is where I have a problem with it, because I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think that pensioners should lose their retirement funds and all the rest of it. No. But what frustrates me is the core of it, that these hedge funds are allowed to be so dangerous with people's money, and it's covered by government insurance. Yeah. It really irritates me. Go
and gamble other people's money, and they can do that with impunity because the government will pay them.
Yes.
But you know something, a lot of the time, limited companies are based on that concept. They are. They're based on.
Let's do it.
The argument is if entrepreneurs can't take risk, then they won't do anything. They'll play it safe. So there's never any progress. There's never anybody getting on in life.
I 100% agree with that.
And so that's why they have the limited liability, that you're only liable to the money you've invested as capital into the company. Otherwise, you can be in deep shit. So in a way, you can get maybe we do have to take some risks sometimes. But I see what you're saying. It's calculated. It shouldn't be in order to put other people out of business or cause losses.
There's having certain legal protections because you've opened a tea shop.
Yeah.
And then there's risking $4 billion of people's pensions on. Yeah. A stock going down, shorting stocks. I do think there's a difference.
Yep.
Philosophically, is there a difference?
No, there is a difference.
But I think there is.
One's entrepreneurial that goes wrong.
Yes.
And the other one is manipulation that they shouldn't be allowed to do in the first place, regardless of who's protected or not.
I love, though, what's really, really exciting about this is people bought those stocks knowing that they're very likely to lose money. This is why they can't This is why the government, this is why Wall Street, this is why they can't deal with them, because they don't understand the concept of buying stocks.
Of looking after your local community.
Yeah, you're doing it. Well, it means so much more as well. It's owning the internet.
Well, if that mentality
discourse
would support local businesses more, then I think we'd have a much better society.
Do you know what? You've just completely changed my mind on that.
Okay.
These meme stock buying cretins should be supporting the community.
They should.
Not GameStop.
No. They're a local shop.
I've completely changed my mind on the whole thing, and I wish I'd not put it in the show now. They disgust me.
Do you know what I think? I think you're okay because I don't think anyone's listening. But I know. But you know, just another thing about causing fraud. Do you want me to jump to the end because I wasn't keen on this story, where you've got a company in Willenhall near Birmingham, who's just got done for VAT fraud. What have we got here? 300,000 in income fraud, and the case here is that allegedly. Because I'm not one for believing everything I read in the papers.
I was so proud of this story because it's not been reported widely. This is the closest you're going to get out of me in terms of breaking news. I was so proud of this, and all you've done is tut.
No, it's not that. It's just that it's going back to that incompetence or lack of awareness a lot of small traders have, and to deliberately trying to defraud things. And it just didn't seem right the way this was reported, because what we've got here is that an accusation of charging VAT with a false VAT number and that is out and out fraud. But charging VAT and then not paying it over to HMRC, it's not really fraud, it's just money mismanagement, and it's a different concept. But these guys haven't got away with it. They've been, they've had a suspended sentence, and obviously the business has been closed down. But according to the paper, these guys were sort of claiming income, paying into different people's bank accounts, cashing checks when they shouldn't have been cashing checks, in their own name rather than the company name. Yeah,
taking customers' checks and down to cash converters and getting the money out.
And
directly.
Then in general, Hayden likes that one. But in general, doing everything to avoid, not evade tax. And they've now been told that, you've used false VAT numbers, this, that, and the other. But they've not been prosecuted that much. They've had a suspended sentence. And it makes me wonder if that's really what's happened. I mean, I looked online and I couldn't find that company at Companies House, so it doesn't seem to be a limited company either. So I think it's been reported all badly.
So do you reckon this Charlene and Martin Rigon? Do you think they've got friends in high places?
No,
then,
certainly don't. I think they're just business people that have fallen foul of not knowing what they're doing because they didn't have a decent accountant, and I think I'm probably the only one left. But, I certainly wouldn't have allowed this thing to go on. I mean, if they'd have got into trouble, it's because they knew they were going to get in trouble, not because the paper was all over the place or they didn't keep any paperwork. I don't believe that they were using false VAT numbers. I don't believe by what I've seen that they were that sophisticated. And I just when you and I read the article, we thought this has not been reported right. But it is a warning to small businesses that we do need to get the paperwork right, because that'll prove a clear sailing. But it's interesting as well, because if it all is true and they were very naughty, and we'd love to get them on the show and see what went on.
I'm going to try. I'll try my best.
But if they were up to no good, it's interesting that because they've got no money, they've not really been prosecuted. But somebody that's got a lot of money would have had far more severe penalties just for doing the same thing. So if you've got assets and money that have taken those assets off you, but if you haven't, it seems like, well, okay, can't take anything, go away.
So when they say it's one rule for them and a different rule for us, it doesn't always go the way round that you might think.
No, it doesn't, does it? You think because people have got nothing, they're badly done to. But a lot of people get away with things. I mean, sometimes it's just great to be poor, because if you've got nothing, they can't take them off you.
It's amazing, let me tell you. Honestly, I've never been
in the business of trying to make people wealthier and keep their assets, not to have nothing.
Are we doing that now? We're pulling from the thing.
So I've done this one. That was the last. So that one's gone. But it does. Actually, there was another story that relates to that I wanted to mention. Well, we might as well. Can we go to John McAfee?
Yeah, let's just.
Now, bear in mind, even though we did found that security online company that stops all your spamming and horrible stuff, this is nothing to do with him, because he sold out a long time ago, isn't it? Hey, didn't you invite him on your show once?
No, he followed me on Twitter.
Yeah.
We DM'd a couple of times, and when I was going to say, would you like to come on the show, he was promptly put in prison.
Right.
So I thought it'd be rude to invite him.
Yeah, while he's in prison.
But now, of course, he's not getting out.
He isn't, is he? No. But what was interesting is that he was really into big time tax evasion, wasn't he? He was setting up bank accounts in other people's names, depositing money there. Although here now, I mean, it could be quizzed anyway, no matter whose name it is. He was buying cryptocurrency in different people's accounts, or allegedly, and he was basically doing anything he could to avoid paying tax. And it looks like he's got away with it. He's dead. He killed himself.
Well, he's certainly won on a certain... in a certain way, hasn't he?
Well,
he's gone on his terms.
He's gone on his. But you know when they say you can't take it with you. I was just thinking, you know all this talk now with science of uploading your memories and personality and consciousness into computers so that you become a virtual person, and then you buy cryptocurrency. Have you then managed to take it with you? No, that's just a thought. It was just a thought.
Would you do that though? What if you couldn't afford? What if you couldn't afford to be uploaded to the cloud, right? So, what would be the cost? Like, what if you had to do work for 100 years to then be allowed to do it? But then you being in there, they might be able to just remove your concept of time.
They've got to also look at something else, and they can define a human being as an entity that can own property, and they can define a limited company as an entity that can own property, or owning debt as well. But if you're an upload and you're a virtual person, can that own property or have debt? So maybe the fact that if you do make it happen, you don't, or you're debt free anyway.
Well, that'd be the thing though. If you agreed beforehand, because assuming you were still a thing and an entity, if you could still process information, like I could, like say I died, right, and then next week there was just a box on this table, Wi-Fi linked to all this, and I'm still pressing all the buttons and everything like that.
Yeah, but until you've got a legal definition of being.
Yeah, we'd have
entity.
to change the law. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, a limited company can't think, but it can own property and it can have debt. Mm-hmm. So it's, yeah.
But if I was indebted to you for my digital immortality,
yeah, you would never be indebted to me for that.
Do you know what I mean though? That my contract would be stronger than any contract that me and you would write by hand now, because what the hell am I going to do? You'd turn me off if I refuse.
Not just if you refused.
I'd be ever so nice, wouldn't I? There's no way I'd be on these servers. Please, God, take me home with the cameras, please.
But
I'll risk it with your dogs. No, I'll risk it at yours.
So, do we applaud John, or do we say, you know what, you fiddled millions and millions of pounds out of the taxpayers' coffers? Do you applaud? I don't really applaud.
10 lifetimes in one life.
Yeah, but
for whatever bad he's done, just enjoy.
But other people suffered.
Yeah, but other people also got very rich. Swings and roundabouts.
Depends on whether they're on the swing or the roundabout, I suppose. Yeah,
his argument was that he's paid taxes and he's not.
Isn't that your quote of the day?
Yes, I was going to.
Do you want to give it?
Yeah, go on.
Because we might as well there. Then I can get rid of this page.
So John McAfee said
he's not filed a tax return for 8 years.
Oh, John McAfee.
John McAfee.
John McBistro.
He said taxation is illegal, which is obviously nonsense.
Maybe not. Taxation is not always illegal. Taxation isn't always illegal. There was some stories around, like if HMRC and the government act in an illegal way, like there was do you remember years ago when they invaded Iraq and Afghanistan?
Yes.
Apparently that was illegal. So therefore, you can withhold your taxes because they were doing something illegal.
I tried that around that time, and I tell you what, they weren't happy.
I'm surprised for the fiver they didn't even care. But no, that's actually if the government.
I've had jobs.
Yeah, you have. If the government, if it does act illegally, then you've no obligation to pay tax. But I'm not going to challenge that one. Don't do that. But yeah, it is something. I've got one more thing on this page, then I can get rid of this page. And you're talking about Lloyd's.
It's not a race, mate.
No, I just want to get rid of the page. It's really boring, this subject. Lloyd's closing 44 branches.
Yes.
And you thought it was the death of the high street.
Isn't it terrible? The high street's burning out.
You've got to look at Lloyd's closing. It's not the death of the high street. They've merely found a better way to transact. So if Lloyd's can transact online, what do they need the cost of a high street branch for? So it's not that the high street's failing, it's just that they found a better way to do things, which in turn can lead to the high street failing. But do you know what my prediction is for the high street? I've said it for ages, I've said it for years, before COVID, before everything. Well, if something can be transacted online, what do you need the hassle and the expense for of a high street? But where I think the high streets will win out on are more, what do you call it, more boutique type stores, more service stores, more restaurants, more, it seems a bit contradictory at the moment, but more coffee shops, more places of community, and trialing new. People can sample things. I think Google did quite well with opening stores, so people can go and learn how to use the stuff. Use Google. You
know what? I use my bank way more than I ever have done. Last year, I used it more than I've ever used a bank.
Is that because you've had money in it?
But no, I haven't actually been into a branch for probably 5 years.
Well, why would you want to anyway?
I hate it. I hate it.
I'm not keen on it.
There's someone sniffing around trying to sell me a loan or whatever, and trying to get you to go upstairs so they can sweet talk you into.
I don't believe that's ever happened to you. I don't believe they've ever come looking around.
Why?
Saying, "Would you like a loan?"
Why would you say that?
I think you've been on your hands and knees begging.
It didn't just happen. I accepted it. I was like,
no, I think there's a lot of begging there. I don't believe for 1 minute.
No. I think I was at that exact point where they knew I was like vulnerable, but also earning.
They like you when you're vulnerable, don't they?
Yeah.
What is that? Banks, they tend to offer you an umbrella when it stopped raining.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was it. It was coming to the end of a big contract.
Yeah, but you can understand that banks generally they're not a charity. They're a commercial organisation. So if they want to lend money, it's to make money themselves, and obviously they want to mitigate the risk. It's like all these bounce back loans.
Hey, it's worked. I'm always in my overdraft.
Yeah,
always.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Your banks must love you.
Yeah.
Except when they call the bailiffs in. But that's my attitude to the high street. I think the high street is fantastic, but I don't think it's a given right. I think that there is. I mean, I prefer sometimes to go to shops because I don't always trust what I get online. But if I know the people I'm dealing with, and it's a difference between having to drag into town or go into local shops and buying it online, I'll buy it online. But not if I don't know the people, because some of the crap I've ordered online and it's come and it really has been crap. So it's the same old thing, whether you're online or whether you're on the high street. If you know the people you're dealing with, and you trust their brand, you trust them, then I don't think it matters whether it's online or
it's the experience, Stephen. It's got to be tactile. I got my little girl a skateboard for a birthday, and we looked online, and she was like, "I want flowers," and it was boring as hell looking at a website for skateboards. But I took her to Manchester, went to the Northern Quarter, and they're all there, all over the walls.
Well, I also find that whenever I order 34 waist trousers online, they never fit me. I'm sticking with that.
I still order 34s as well, mate. I know what you're feeling.
I do, but it's definitely to wear them underneath.
We were talking before. You see, I'm from an accountancy background, and I'm into ledgers and bookkeeping. Even though I'm sort of like dipping my toes in the media world, I'm not that au fait with the media world. And you were talking before about GB News. And there's been a lot of controversy with it, haven't there? There's a lot of people that don't like GB News.
Yes, for the context, it's a brand new news channel, legitimate, it's out on Sky and Freeview and all that. And but for months before it launched, people wanted to crush it for hate.
For hate crimes.
It's spreading hate.
What's the name of that lady? Louise Wickstrom.
Oh, yes.
Wasn't she a Pokemon?
No, she's not a Pokemon.
As Wickstrom, that's a different. I thought a Pokemon, but she's really making a fuss about it, isn't she?
Yes, ex-BBC content producer.
All the hate crime, anti-hate crime.
Wait, I've got it here. She runs boycottgbnews.org under her company Ripples, and Ripples.
Instead of Ripples, I looked it up. They don't seem to be trading.
No, well, she's.
It's a new company.
It's grifting on Twitter for donations, though, isn't it? That's the deal, you know.
Twitter. So you set a company up these days, and you can go on Twitter and you can go on crowdfunding sites and ask people for money. Do
GoFundMes. Say we must stop this hate. And
so
then
you've got to stand for something. So if you stand for something,
quite the opposite.
No,
yeah.
I'm sorry. What I'm hearing here is that this is free money because you've got a normal commercial business. So you've opened a pub around the corner, and instead of waiting for customers to come in and take the money from selling your product and services, you can go out there and say, "Give me money because I stand for this." Is that? Yeah. Is that what it is?
That's the one.
Maybe that's a viable model.
Yeah.
You know,
should we do you probably don't know Stephen Crowder. He has the tables with "Change My Mind" written in front of it.
Right.
So it'll be say like, "America is not racist. Change my mind."
So people give him money.
Should we go in? Oh yeah, a lot of money. Yeah.
Just for saying that.
Should we go like capitalism and like that, and we'll go sit.
Capitalism.
Yeah, we'll go sit in the park and film it and.
You've got hats, haven't you?
Money.
You can put your hat out there. And
which hat? Yeah.
You can just put it on the floor in the park and say, "I'm a capitalist." Sorry. So explain. So if this is a business model, so you go and stand for something. Like I'd love to stand for science and technology because I think business. There's so many opportunities if people understood new science and technology coming through the door and how to use it. I mean, I started Accounts Direct with one piece of accounting software, which was enabled me to speed up the production of accounts and therefore. So I'd love to bring people more information about new technology and new things. Like there's that painting thing that we're talking about, wasn't it? Where you can actually get this paint machine that you attach it to a wall. And it paints a mural. It paints whatever you want. If you wanted, you can have a 6-foot-high, detailed painting of me on your wall, and you just set the machine up, and there it goes and sprays. It's like what are those other things called? The 3D printers. All these things. There's a business in a box with these.
What
things.
are we doing? What are we doing here? Doing this then?
Can I just say I'm still loving the 6-foot-high thing, bigger than life. Yeah.
Just the face, just 6-foot-high face. What's wrong with that? Okay. Well, anyway.
They're trying to put a bill through Parliament.
Yeah.
Where it's been suggested that that everyone who wants one.
Wants what, one of these paint machines or a picture of me?
Should get
a picture of me.
Picture of the Queen.
Yeah.
To hang in their home or business. Everyone that wants one.
Really?
Yes.
Is there a size of that?
Well, I did see someone ask, but there were no answers.
Because you could turn it round and use it as wallpaper.
I'm just thinking maybe just flog them.
I used to sell pictures of the Queen years ago and I had my cash and carry. It wasn't a good seller. You know, we actually had a lad in the warehouse once that painted a dartboard on it, and we sold a couple.
Treasonous dog.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's not a nice thing to do.
It's fine.
No, yeah. So we're going back to the Pokemon lady, Louise Wickstrom,
yes,
who's quoting that I believe that this station isn't very woke.
Yeah, it's not woke. In fact, I've watched quite a bit of it actually, and it's fine. It doesn't depart hugely from the general feeling of television. I think a lot of
people watching this show, the business people, and I always find that business people do what is commercially viable. I don't think many people have strong views on what is or what should be. Or I think it's just, somebody comes in and they come into the shop and want to do business. I personally don't care what anybody is.
You don't worry about what the hippies are screaming.
Well, I don't even see them.
You?
I don't even see. But I do know that I do try not to make too many faux pas. Like I do understand now that some men don't want to be called him; they want to be called her.
Going there, are we?
They or this, and I do understand that. So from a commercial point of view, whatever's going on in my head, from a commercial point of view, I just try and accommodate it. So I think as GB News, they're trying to boycott because they don't think they're very politically correct.
Yeah, and they're putting up lists of companies that have gone with it, and some have capitulated. Most of them have just ignored the mob completely. And but what the net result though has actually been that it's just been free advertising for GB News.
Yeah, that's good.
People like myself have checked it out, which is why the vast majority of the advertisers have quietly stayed.
Well, I don't really understand this. To me, hate crime is when you're rude. I mean, really abusive or rude to somebody because of who or what or where they come from. And that, but why are you laughing?
You'd think that, but the police ignore me every Friday. I send them the evening's recordings, and I get ignored every week.
Well, I've never really heard you be particularly unwoke. I think you're like the rest of us. You're just not that bothered.
No.
Yeah. So, but just not everyone's. I know we call him a fascist, but that's
he is.
Would you call yourself a fascist, Graham?
No.
I go where.
Are you a serial killer? Of course I'm not. I just like wearing ladies' faces.
I'm not a fascist!
He's a fascist, he's ableist, phobic.
I'm a little bit ableist against certain disabled people, yeah?
That's not nice. Hey, listen, if they buy your products and services, they're all equal to me.
Well, that doesn't happen, does it?
Yeah, but
I do. I've got people
I'm just saying,
from all sorts of life.
You'd refuse entry to a person in a wheelchair if they were horrible.
If they were horrible, not because they were in a wheelchair.
Exactly, that's my point.
Or ugly. If people are ugly, I think, thank God we've got these masks now.
Yeah, well, yeah, you don't want an ugly crippin'.
But nobody thinks they're ugly.
You
no,
can't
not because they've got some.
Once.
What word did you use just then?
What?
I think we need to bleep that one out. Oh,
what?
Hayden, I mean, Graham, you're taking this show down to trigger warning. So trigger warning's not on until 10 o'clock, and if you really want to be offensive or offended, go to that one. Have we done with that? So where do you think GB News is going? Is it worth watching?
It's actually very good, yeah. I've not watched all of it. Dude, I was told about this hate and everything, and the reason advertisers have stuck with it is because I turned it on and it was like a 20-minute segment saying, make sure you go to the dentist. Not a lot of people have done over lockdown. I was like, what the hell? This is fine.
Yeah.
Or how can we support kids going back out into school over the summer and all this? There was nothing wrong with it.
Is it one of those dentists that maybe make necklaces out of your teeth?
No.
I don't know.
You are
what
on
to say.
dad joke heaven right now, aren't you?
Are exceptional.
Yeah, it's doing really well.
So it is somewhere that we could look at advertising.
Oh, they're going great guns.
Yeah.
Well, we're with Octopus Energy.
And the thing is as well, if you do want to advertise with GB News, there's a lot of good feeling for people that do. I think we should put an advert for Altfeed on there, man. Just a whole channel advert.
Let's do it.
Us all swinging around on different chairs.
Do you know, I'm moving on to Amazon. Amazon destroying stock. What do you think of that? It's been in the news that Amazons are destroying hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of stock simply because the people holding the stock, Amazon are holding stock for people, and if it doesn't sell, the owners of the stock still have to pay for it. Well, for the storage anyway. So they found it's cheaper to dispose of it rather than to take it back or do anything else with it. And there's been an outcry because it's not nice to destroy hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of stock.
Here's the thing I'll say with this on this story. The number, just straight away, it's right.
Where did you get your opinions from?
Right.
Seriously,
you've got to think though. For a start, the numbers around this stock destruction are wrong. They're like. They're taken.
They're exaggerated as usual.
Well, it's taken from like a very limited amount of time and then extrapolated out into, well, this is how much they destroy in a year. It's not the actual number. And secondly, all places throw things out. All places destroy stuff.
They do.
Everyone. So if you're like what 90% of online purchases go through, then yes, you're going to be destroying a lot. The problem I've got with this story is no one that covers it has scaled it in any way whatsoever to a normal business.
There's another thing as well, because a lot of businesses, if you're getting a certain price for your product, you don't want to flood the market with rubbish that you can't sell, so you give it away, so people wait for it to be cheaper or given away, and they don't buy your regular stock. Over the years, time. I'll just say this though. Over the years, a lot of businesses have do dispose of stock rather than selling it at a discount or giving it away. Years ago, I used to be in the business buying and selling clearance stocks, and sometimes we'd get all sorts of products, and we'd be sat there cutting the labels out so we'd be able to sell them. And then other orders were destined for out to the UK. So I think, yet again, with the papers, they don't have to take things out of context. Believe you me, if a business can sell stuff and make a profit on it, they wouldn't be burning it or throwing it away.
That's it, though, isn't it, with Amazon? But Amazon bad, therefore this is the narrative, this is the thing. And this is why people are watching the likes of GB News.
But why don't we just get away from GB News? Because we've got Accounts Direct News and you're not plugging that.
I'll have you know, there's a ticker.
Well, I've got
a 3D box over there.
Two things that I thought were really good that I wanted to mention. One of them was that pub down south that banned kids under 12 because of their unruly behaviour. Would you go to a pub that banned little children?
It depends on my mood.
I think it'd be great.
I mean, I'd go to pubs that don't have kids in.
Yeah.
Because I'm in a certain frame of mind.
You've not put the quote out that I told you, but so they put a sign up saying dogs must be kept on leashes and kids are not allowed. Well, it's about parenting, isn't it? One last thing before we go that I want people to consider, because it's very important to me. You've got all these superheroes saving the world. You've got like Spider-Man. You know, how does he fund himself? Where does he get the money from? I mean, the guy's a part-time photographer for the Daily Bugle. How does he fund the research for the webs and the materials and all the little machines and gadgets they use? Where does that money come from?
I know. Yeah, go on.
Well, very simply, he sponges off Aunt May.
Yeah,
that's what he does.
And J.K. Simmons saw, because there's a panel once where when he was interviewing Peter Parker, it had on his computer the story of his uncle dying.
And
so he knew he needed help.
So he got a lot of insurance money.
No, he took him on because he was a young lad and he was a nice lad.
Yeah, but
he needed a help.
I mean, developing web fluid can't be cheap. It's not your place, Graham. Not your place.
He would understand it, Graham. You're sat there right now.
Yeah.
So there we have it. We've got to have, whether you're a superhero or not, HMRC would like to know where you get your money from. So if you're living above your means, we do need to look at that. So that's all I'm going to say for tonight. I would like to insult Graham more, but he's got a very hard night on Deansgate Lock tonight. And it gets very cold. So if you are passing, do take him a cup of coffee. Thank you for joining me. It's gone by very quickly tonight, so I'll say good night and I'll see you next week. Don't forget, later on, we've got Lorraine and Colin in the Plain Comedy, and of course at 10 o'clock, Hayden with his Trigger Warning show. So take care and good night. Bye-bye.